I just got off a call today from someone that I met through social media, and as I jumped on the call, something just didn't add up. I'm calling it the classic bait and switch. Stick around, I'll tell you what that is. Well, I was on one of the social media channels, I won't tell you which one, and I was going through cleaning up all the messages and invitations that I had, and I clicked on one and I thought, oh, this is interesting. It's a company that's going to raise capital. Now, we're into ventures. We're always looking for opportunities for our ventures to receive some funding, and this seemed like a good opportunity. Now, I connected. There was a meeting to be scheduled. I scheduled that, and I immediately felt something wasn't right because the name of the person was not the same as the person I was going to meet with. So I sent a message back, didn't hear a reply. Anyway, an hour later, I jumped on the call. So the person's name did at least match the invitation, but I started saying, well, who am I talking to? Why are we talking? And I even referred back to the referral, and they didn't even know the name of the person. They didn't know the name of the company. Complete disconnect in terms of name, in terms of company, in terms of location. So naturally, I was a little confused, to say the least. Anyhow, I began to discuss what he was offering and what his services were, and he was in the venture space. So he was promising to raise capital and do some other things like mergers and acquisitions. We're not really into that space. We're into the helping ventures find funding and thrive. So I asked him, what is your business model? I mean, how does it work? And I wasn't surprised to hear that he was actually seeking up to $50,000 in upfront fees to go and help raise funding. Now, I've been in ventures and new ventures pretty much all of my career. I was working for some of the big companies like Nokia and Agilent and HP, and they would often be looking to invest in new technologies that fit their portfolio. So I got to see it from that point of view. And then I've also been raising capital for companies of my own and ventures of my own, and been involved with other companies that are raising capital. And I've learned some things over the years. And I'm going to break them down into 4 categories of people that you're dealing with in this space. So the 4 types of people that you meet in this venture funding space are as follows. Number 1, your genuine investors. Of course, we love angel investors. We love people who are going to put money in. We respect them. We will look after them. That we want them involved. We're going to build a relationship with real investors because they're trusting in us with their money. Put them up on the pedestal exactly where they should be. The next one is what I call the gatekeepers. I don't particularly dislike these people either. They're there protecting the investor, making sure they're not overwhelmed with too many people after their money. Getting through the gatekeepers can be challenging because they might have their own set of rules that may or may not match with the investor, and you have to work through all of those. So there's the gatekeepers. Number 3, I would call them the time wasters. Now, it's great to be called an investor. I have seen people with profiles as author, investor, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Investors get treated very well. And sometimes people want to be treated very nicely, be treated like an investor, be brought into the fold. They want to be treated nicely, and they also want to find out what's going on. So they put themselves out as an investor. These are really time wasters. So we don't want to really have much time dedicated to time wasters, quite obviously. And number 4, and this is the worst type, and I'm going to use the term sharks. Now, not like Shark Tank, but really the sharks who are actually after your money. Well, I call it the bait and switch. So they come at you with lots of promises. They'll say, we will help you, we will help you. And then there's this illusion about what they actually can offer with the purpose of extracting money from you. Now, I had a piece of advice I was given very early in my entrepreneurial career, and the man said to me, and I still remember this day, he said, there's a lot of people out there trying to extract money out of an entrepreneur. And this call was exactly like this. Not only was it kind of odd the way I got connected with this person, but he was also painting a picture of helping me raise capital. And then I said to him, so what's the deal? And he wanted $50,000. That's right, $50,000 to go and help me raise capital. Now, what was he actually saying he could do with it? It's usually one of those things. It's, we have a process, we have a network, we can give you advice, we add this in, we add that in. They're always trying to conflate what it is. Then you have to say to yourself, do I really want to put $50,000 in? Into something like that when I could be actually putting $50,000 back into my venture. And that's why I call them sharks. They're taking value out and not adding anything back in. And I really don't like that type of behavior, and I really try to avoid the type of people. And once they've done that to me once, they don't usually get back to deal with me in the future. So what's my advice to avoid the sharks and the time wasters? Well, number one is to bootstrap. In other words, do as much as you can without seeking investment funding. Getting capital in is hard. Dealing with investors takes time and energy. If you can put that into bootstrapping your company, then do that. Do that for as long and as hard as you can. Okay, so now you've done all that. What's the next piece of advice? Go and seek the investors yourself. Find ways to find your way to those investors yourself. Once you get those investors on a call, the genuine investors, then you can start to make progress. Now, this is hard too, because they often have the gatekeepers you have to work through. Investors don't always show an interest in what you're doing. And when you're seeking investors, trying to find the ones that are in your field. So if you're in healthcare, and they're in healthcare, there's a match. If they do pre-seed and seed and you're looking for that, then there's a match, because there's lots of different types of investors. So do some screening, target the investors that you think will be of most interest. Time wasters, don't let them waste your time. You can move on quickly. They're not necessarily bad people. They just want something that you can't deliver, and that's your time. And with sharks, honestly, cut them off as quickly as you can. As soon as you know that they are asking for money up front, it's time to walk away. I can't emphasize this strongly enough. There is no point investing in somebody's network or somebody's process. You need to invest that in your startup, not in somebody else's process. You will waste your money. So when you see that, say no. What I say is, would you do it on commission? This is an easy way to get out of this problem. And they usually say no, and you say, well, I'm not really interested in that type of deal. And then you can part ways. So those are the strategies that I use. I hope that helps, because I have been pulled down this trap so many times, and I don't want you to as well. I'm Pete Cooper. I've been in tech for 30 years, and my company Skillion has been in AI since 2016. If you want to know a bit more about our services, click the links in the description. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.